Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla. And today, my special guest is Maria Joukov. Am I pronouncing it correctly, the last name? Oh, fantastic. Joukov. Thank you, Maria. Maria is the co-founder and CEO of Ink Tattoos, and she's also the founder and CEO of Fides Services. So she's the owner of two businesses. Welcome to the show, Maria. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. And I have to tell you, I love this concept. I love what you're doing to support the local community. I think a lot of times when we hear, entrepreneur, our minds just jump to, tech bros in the Silicon Valley and $40 billion IPOs. And I think a lot of times we forget that there's small businesses grinding it out every day here in the DMV. So it's awesome that you take the time to highlight them. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I totally agree. I mean, obviously there are the unicorns out there and, the big ones, Amazon, and there's a ton of, podcasts and everything else, but there's so much you can tell. And as far as just shared stories within the local community in the DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia area, just small, medium-sized businesses. And that's what I wanted to highlight by doing this show. So thank you. I appreciate it.
That's great.
So I like to first start off just for the audience to get to know you a little better, just, your childhood basically, or where were you born? Where did you grow up? Are you from around here or elsewhere?
Yeah, so I actually, I kind of have an interesting background with that respect. I was born in Armenia, and no one ever knows where it is. It's a tiny country. It's right between Europe and Asia. It's one of the former Soviet republics. Super rich history, rich background, very unique kind of people. And when I was 10 years old, my family immigrated to the United States. And so ever since then, we first moved to Maryland. So I grew up in Baltimore County, and then I've just kind of stuck around this area ever since then.
So you left Armenia at 10, right?
Yep.
And you came directly to Maryland, to Baltimore County?
Yep. Yeah,
So besides English, of course, what other languages do you know?
So I speak Russian. I speak Armenian, although I've forgotten a lot of it. It's a very hard language. Took a little bit of Spanish and Farsi in school. So always like kind of learning new languages. And
so as far as fluency, Maria, it's Russian and English, or?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Okay. So should I call you Masha, or?
Yeah, you can. That's what my family calls me sometimes.
Oh, really? My wife, Masha.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Ukraine.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Some neighbors. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to Kiev. It's a beautiful really? City. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been there, but yeah, there's a lot of history there as well, for sure.
I'm just curious, do you have any little ones, any children?
I have two kids. Yep,
okay.
I have two kids, a almost 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. So it's a fun age. You're always being put in your own place with with kids. So yeah, it's never a dull moment.
I have a 9, 6, well, turning 7 next month, and then a 4.
Oh wow, yeah.
Are yours fluent in Russian? Do they know any little Russian?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Tried for a little bit, and then it was just hard.
Yeah, it is hard. My oldest one, who's now 9, his first language was Russian. All he did was just speak Russian because he was always with Baba and Deda, and so he, Baba and Deda, it's all Russian, and then we put him in a Russian daycare.
Wow.
So like at 4 and 5, he only knew Russian. I would speak to him in Spanish, so he knew Spanish, and he knew maybe 2 or 3 words of English.
Oh wow.
But then we put him in American English daycare just prior to elementary school to prepare him, and then everything since then has just switched, and now it's only English.
That's so funny. I bet if he ever goes back, he'll just pick it up quickly. And
like he understands. So when someone speaks to him in Spanish, or he hears people speaking in Spanish or Russian, he completely understands. It's just he needs to speak it again, which he hasn't in a while.
That's the hardest part of any language, speaking.
Yeah. Okay, so you came to Baltimore County at 10, and then you did I guess elementary, middle school, high school, all in Baltimore County?
Yeah, so I caught the end of elementary school. I guess that's where I learned a lot of English there. So,
Yes.
and then yeah, middle school, high school, ended up going to college in DC at Georgetown, and then just kind of stuck around here. So
What did you major in Georgetown?
I majored in international political economics. It's a mouthful, but yeah, international relations and economics. So.
What were you thinking of going into politics, or what were your thoughts back
I,
then?
I always was interested in government work. My first job out of college was actually as a civilian with the Department of Defense. Um, Really cool job. I still have a lot of friends in that space, and that's actually what my company, Fides Services, does still. So that was, got recruited out of college to go there. Worked for about 6 years, and then I loved it. I loved the mission. I just wanted to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit. And that's kind of hard to do within a government agency. So I actually decided to start a small contracting company, still serving the same client, just kind of doing it on the industry side. And that was a really interesting experience because it taught me a lot of different functions within a company. So everything from, look, when you're running a small business, you're the CEO, but you're also the janitor and everything in between, right? And so it's really valuable because it's taught me a lot of things on, for example, HR, how to run payroll, how to hire people, financial projections, contracting. So kind of that whole gamut of corporate experience was what I had to learn, and that's been super valuable. So.
I'm curious, when the government agency you were with, you said you were with them for about 6 years or so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. While working there, were you always thinking, I'm not going to do this forever, maybe I'll go to another agency, or maybe, I don't know, government contractor, or even your own thing? Did you always have that thought in the back of your mind as far as maybe opening up your own company one day? Or
looking back on it, I think I did. I think that was always something that I kind of had in the back of my mind, and it was just kind of the circumstances, the stars lined up to where it was a good time for myself and my husband personally for me to kind of take the jump. And we didn't have any kids at that time, so obviously a lot more flexibility. So yeah, it was. I'm glad it worked out the way it did. To say, I kind of went in there with an exit plan. That's not necessarily true, but it's worked out well.
Oh, so your husband was also in the same industry?
So he actually has a military background.
Okay.
So he was in the Navy. He went to Naval Academy, did about 5 years in the Navy, and then went into the government contracting space, but in a different agency. So we both kind of spoke the language, but we're in our own different realms.
So he was doing something totally different, though, as far as what you were doing during that 6 year there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys were thinking, let's just combine and come together and form this company. Was that the
company,
thought?
actually, I started mostly on my own.
Oh,
he had his job, which kind of gave us the flexibility to, have a steady stream of income, and then also, try something else on the side. And when you're starting off contracting, coming from a government background, because of conflict of interest, you almost have to make a clean cut, quit one job before you're able to get into anything on the contracting side. So it's a little bit of a scary decision. It's a big decision because, as you probably know in this area, it's hard to get a government job, right?
Yeah.
The amount of hoops you have to jump through to get to something, it's not easy to give it up. And so it was a big decision, but, again, in hindsight, it has worked out really well. It has broadened my network, broadened my corporate experience. And, I wouldn't have done it a different way.
That's great. What does Fides exactly do?
So we support an agency, a combat support agency that works with mapping and imagery, and anything from, humanitarian support to like place names, kind of geographic aspects of what the DoD requires.
So for those of you who may hear this who are not from the DC metro area, like mapping, like GPS or
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right,
GPS,
okay,
imagery data. Yeah.
Okay, Okay. So you do work for a specific agency.
Yes.
And provide them with those services.
Exactly. Yep.
And that was established, Maria, a while back, right?
Yeah. So I started the company in 2013.
Okay.
In the springtime, and then there was a period of kind of doing back office work and just building stuff internally, reaching out to clients, and then our first contract was in 2014. So
okay.
So ever since then, it's been a lot of fun there. So
that's good. And how many people are now in Fides?
So eight employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure all remotely currently.
Right now, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And it's been a very interesting year for everyone, I'm sure.
Yes. So then from there, though, you started a new company, which is the most recent meaning just a few years, which is Ink Tattoo, right?
Exactly.
How did that come to birth?
Yeah, you're like, how did this person just go from
one, totally opposites.
Office cubicle environment to tattoos, right? So there's actually an interesting story behind that. It was after we had kids. Obviously, as you know, a huge emotional moment in everybody's life, and I think a lot of people tend to think of tattoos during these emotional moments. So we had our son, and we wanted to get a tattoo of his name, something simple, small, not a huge deal. So we started walking around to some parlors, and didn't really come away with kind of super warm and fuzzy experience.
You didn't feel good.
Wanting to get something small, right? So we just kind of started thinking about it, and we thought, there has to be a better way to do this for people, kind of in our demographic, just kind of the whole customer experience of it, right? To put it in those terms. So we thought, there could be a better way of doing it, as far as just making the transaction easy from the time, like, I walk into a shop and, I talk to somebody, even before then, from when I start planning about what it is I want to get, right? The whole experience that we've kind of come up with at Ink is designed to make that a little bit more customer friendly, and especially customer friendly for people who have no prior experience. Because let's face it, it's intimidating, right? You're walking in, and there's usually loud music and dark walls, and you kind of are
everyone's fully tatted, and this was your first time getting a tattoo?
It was my first time, and we actually didn't have any of our own tattoos until we opened our shop, because going through all these experiences.
Oh, okay.
And during the course of our research, we talked to our friends who have a lot of tattoos, and we kind of find out that, like, we're not the only ones
who feel that way,
right? And so that's kind of the whole thing with Ink. We want to be really transparent with people. We want to be really educational. We want to be really kind of customer friendly, and taking care of your needs as a customer, and just making everything about the transaction easy. So, like, if you go on our website, there's resources on what should I get tattooed if you're just kind of thinking about it. And then from that point, everything through a digital payment, a digital appointment reminder, you coming in and being able to see the ingredients on the inks, and just being able to be walked through the process of how it happens. We just wanted to kind of make it more accessible and remove a lot of the kind of the mystery around it.
I'm sure prior to opening this, and I'm curious, you did plenty of research with all the different local tattoo parlors or shops in the area. And they didn't have, as far as just the technology interface, you at home scrolling, I'm sure it wasn't that user-friendly, or am I incorrect? I don't know.
I think it just depends. I think we've definitely taken it up a notch with, as far as being able to book digitally and provide quotes.
Do many of them have that, Marie, as far as able to do that digitally, set up appointments? And
some places do, but it's providing quotes is really kind of not that often found across the board, just because a lot of times the artists will want to see what you actually want, and the artists themselves can have different rates based on their levels of experience. And so what we did is we kind of standardized it. We have a flat rate per hour. And from the artist point, how we're modernizing it is the typical kind of industry standard is to work in it's almost like a 1099 model, right? So the artists work in a shop, but they're not shop employees, right? They rent their spaces, they split revenue with the owner typically. All our artists are hired as W-2 employees. They have a set salary, they have benefits, healthcare, paid time off, a set schedule to where they're working 40 hours a week. And so with that, we're kind of trying to make it a more team-friendly environment so that there's not a lot of competition for each new customer that walks through the door. Okay. It's the people working there are able to say, well, I'm not great at this style, but my coworker is, he's better for you as an artist. And it kind of eliminates a lot of that like internal competition. So there's kind of the customer side, what we're doing with trying to make it a little bit easier to access and more educational. And then there's also the artist side, which is taking care of them, providing them a really good atmosphere to where they can just come in and focus on their art, and that's it, right? And not have to worry about any of the, anything else on the business side. Like they don't have to worry about paying taxes. They don't have to worry about payroll. They don't have to worry about anything else. They just come in and do their art and take care of their customers. So.
That's interesting. And I'm sure not many shops have that plan and set up like you do, correct?
I don't know that no. There are many around here that are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, how would it work? Because it is true, I guess, depending on what the tattoo the person wants, the artist would have to see it. And depending, I guess, on the color or the details, and like you said, the experience, I don't know what other variable comes into play as far as quoting the final price to the customer. But you're not doing that. You're just saying it's per hour, right? And this is the flat rate, depending on how many hours it's involved.
Yep, exactly. And so, generally you can have a pretty good estimate of what the tattoo will be and how many hours it'll require. Yes, there's some give and take. Some artists are slower, some artists are faster. But in general, you can estimate that pretty well. And so that's just what we use. And we always tell people, if you book a 3-hour appointment, it ends up being 2 hours. We're obviously not going to charge you for 3 hours. We're going to put the deposit towards the balance. So it's just kind of having that transparency about this is what you're paying for, exactly what it's going to be going in. And that's why we're able to just kind of be transparent about it.
And you mentioned you can get a quote online before even stepping foot in the location.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. We get emails, we get Yelp requests, we get Instagram messages. So people just kind of reach out.
So for that, what would be I guess, would they have to upload the tattoo that they have in mind? And then for order you to properly quote them the amount of time it may take?
Yeah. So most of the time people will say, this is what I have in mind. What would you estimate based on this photo, or just them describing it? Or
okay. So it's not even a picture needed then. It's just description, typing.
A picture definitely helps. Sure. It definitely helps just because, it's a visual business.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, we have good guidelines established for that.
How was the perception with artists who are not used to this type of model, and as far as payment plans, that you're basically now a W-2 employee compared to before independent contractor? What was the perception you found as far as, what do they think?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think there was definitely some getting used to. Our senior artist has over 4 decades of experience, and he came out of retirement because he saw what my husband and I were doing with this.
Really?
And he said, this is awesome. I've been looking for this, my entire career, to just make things a little bit more professional. And so he definitely sees the potential in this. So I think we like to position ourselves as, really taking care of everything on the business end so that the artist can focus, like I was saying before, on the art. And, I think it's, from their point of view, there is, you're getting a W-2, you're getting a pay stub. Now you can use that to go get an apartment, a car loan, whatever. So it
Yeah.
legitimizes it a little bit, as opposed to I'm getting paid with a stack of $20 bills that I have to keep in my pocket, and that's my budget. So
Yeah.
it takes some getting used to, but I think overall it's a net positive for the business and for the industry.
That's good. As an artist, putting, let's say, myself in the artist shoe, before they were incentivized to obviously bring in clients and get art done, because I don't know, there would be a certain split between them and the shop, whatever it may be. But now, since that's taken out of the picture, do you see still, is there any incentivization or any plans that you have besides obviously, their W-2, but are they bonus? I don't know, as far as, promoting it in
Yeah.
Instagram or any other social media platform just to bring more clientele in?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's, I think, two aspects of this. One, it's, the artists want to do good work. So they want to do things that are professionally interesting for them. They don't want to just kind of sit back and rest on their laurels and, say I'm getting a salary, so now I don't have to try. So one is, they're very motivated to do work and build up their portfolios. And then two, we've also put in place a monthly kind of sales target, that if the artists meet a certain number of hours a month, everybody, all the employees, so including, the front desk customer service person, gets a bonus for that month. So there's a little bit of incentive there as well. But that's a really good point, though.
Okay, so there's a team incentive then, as far as overall. That's good though, as far as the team structure and environment there.
Yeah.
I was looking pictures online. I have never stepped foot in that tattoo parlor or shop, to be honest. I've thought about it at one point.
Like, check it out.
Like you said, you go through different experiences in life, and like you mentioned, you have children. In your case, you want to mark certain memories or certain things that mean to you. And some people decide to apply it in their body, and some people don't. It's up to them. But I've thought about it, and I've heard stories. I know friends and other people who have done it. And from the landlord's perspective, I know when I come to a landlord and I'm saying, I have a tattoo shop interested in a space, this. 9 times out of 10, the majority are like, no, thank you. Or I need more details. But if I come to a landlord with a tenant such as yourself, I've seen pictures. It looks beautiful in there. I would have never, I almost thought like it was a spa.
Yeah.
Frankly, I was like, wow, this is very nice. But yeah, whose idea was it? What made you think of as far as the design inside to do it that way?
Yeah, so that was actually all us. I mean, everything from the branding, the design, everything, it was us. I mean, we didn't hire anybody to do that. That's just generally how we operate. We try to do as much kind of in-house as possible. But to your point, it's a very visual business. And so one of the things we did working in real estate, one of the things we did when we approached landlords was we had an overview deck of just the 3D model of what it's going to be inside, and our backgrounds, our resumes, and just being able to approach somebody with this deck and saying, yes, it's a tattoo parlor, but it's not what you think, and this is why. I think that was very helpful. It was actually one of our big requirements was to have a kind of just prime retail space, right? So Old Town, probably one of the nation's most expensive real estate footprints.
Yeah, it is. Fantastic location, though.
Yeah, it's a great location.
Yes.
I love it. I love the community there, and the foot traffic is great. But we wanted that visibility. We wanted to have that. This isn't some back alley kind of establishment. It's front and center. We wanted the big windows up front. So we want people from the outside kind of looking in and kind of thinking, what is this place? Let me go check it out. We didn't want neon anywhere. That was that was our big requirement. No neon. But no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's just kind of goes in line with how people perceive tattoos nowadays, and how much that whole kind of concept has changed over the last 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, we had, daycare teachers from our kids' school come and get a tattoo with us. today you see lawyers with tattoos, pediatricians with tattoos, right? It's no longer.
Of course, everyone has one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's, so many people have one, and that demographic is so much broader than it used to be, but the experience of it hasn't really changed that much. And that's exactly what we're trying to change.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Like when I saw this, I'm like I mentioned earlier, I almost felt like I was, and you've done a fantastic job just with the website, and just it looks very inviting. I can definitely see now you wanting to go there, being comfortable, even myself, or I can see my wife, or if she ever wanted to, a tattoo, right. Like, yes, you're definitely standing, you're standing out compared to the other people in your industry, for sure.
And we honestly see it as kind of growing the pie for everyone, because now it's that person who was previously afraid of coming into a tattoo parlor or didn't know what they were getting into. Now they've had that. We're kind of like the gateway drug, right? Like we have that person's now comfortable going in and knowing what's going to happen. And maybe next time they're going to go to a different place, and that's totally fine, because now we've taken a customer who wouldn't have been a customer, and kind of brought them into the business. So we thought this through from kind of just what would a person with zero tattoo experiences want. And so one of the things we offer is a ink sensitivity test. So if you have sensitive skin, if you think you might be allergic to ink, you can come in and book an appointment and get some drops of ink placed on your skin, see how you'll react. Another product we have is a temporary tattoo. So not like the little kids stick-on ones that you think of, but it's a plant-based ink that gets put on your skin, again, in a custom design. And when it dries, it looks like the real deal. So you can come in and test it out and see if you want a tattoo, if you want to go bigger, go smaller, if you change your mind. It's a good way to kind of try it out. And again, it's all these things that are put in place with the novice customer in mind. Just getting them comfortable. And by the way, while they're there, they can check out the space. They can see how it's done in real life and ask any questions they want to, and just feel comfortable walking in.
That's great. This is the first time I'm hearing about those two things you just mentioned, as far as the sensitivity test or analysis, and then just that tattoo, just to see if they're comfortable with it and how they look. Or like you said, maybe they want it larger or smaller if they go and decide to do the permanent one.
Yeah, exactly. And one of my favorite customers was actually a gentleman who he came and got a temporary tattoo, and he got his wife's name on his arm, but he had it spelled wrong. And then he kind of used it as a gag gift. So, so there's also those types of customers. But
hold on. So in his situation, did he get the permanent one, or did he get?
No, he got the temporary.
Temporary. Okay.
Temporary.
Okay.
But it looked real when it was done. So.
So he came home. He showed it to the wife. He's like, "Honey, look." And
I can't imagine what she said.
I'm curious, with him, did he decide to do the permanent one afterwards, or?
He did not. No, he was from out of town. He just came in, and
Okay. Cool. For the temporary ones, is it like, the little sticker ones for kids that after washes it rubs off, or how does that work?
So it's actually it's a plant-based gel almost.
Okay.
And it's similar to, like, if you've ever seen henna being done.
Yes.
It's not exactly henna. It's a similar type of ink, but there's no skin that gets punctured. It goes on your skin. It kind of flakes off after a while, and then you wash it and it develops like overnight.
Okay.
And yeah, it just looks like a black ink tattoo when it's done.
It looks like a real one?
It does. It does. It just, there's kind of limits how fine of a line you can do with it.
Okay.
So it's, for some tattoos, it's a good approximation. For other ones, it's, maybe not the best, but.
Are you able to do colors and all also with a temporary one?
With those, I think we have black and red only.
Okay.
I don't know the colors really come out that well.
How long do you typically have that temporary one on you?
It depends where you put it. So if it's like your hands or somewhere where the skin is really thin and gets a lot of friction, it'll last maybe a couple days. If it's like a shoulder or something, it'll be a week.
Okay.
Or so, but yeah, it's kind of fun. It's, you get the people who treat it like a special occasion or a gag gift or something, and then you get the people who are actually using it as test for the real deal.
What's the feedback that you've received with whether these two items or even just overall the business and the concept being totally different, the way you're doing it compared to other tattoo shops?
I mean, I think there's definitely a demographic that's attracted to our model. And when we were starting out, we thought it would be catering to primarily females, kind of mid-20s to mid-40s.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been one of the things that has been surprising over the last year. It's just the range of customers that we've had. So we absolutely get, the young female customer who has never had a tattoo. But we also get, the motorcycle riding and the kind of more experienced veteran tattoo customers. So
they're coming to you
it's
too?
really cool to see just a range. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
It's just cool to see the people that we appeal to, and how everybody's comfortable and just wants a better experience coming in.
Okay. I'm with the demographics. Is it mostly women or men, or how is it?
It's pretty even. I would say it's maybe slightly more women, but yeah, it's pretty even.
Oh wow. There's not that big of a difference.
Again, I'm just as surprised as you are because yeah.
Now I know you run two business, plus you mentioned you have two little ones, and I understand also your husband is very involved with his career. How do you handle all this going on?
It's fun. I mean, I think as long as you're having fun, you'll be able to make time for anything. I 100% believe that, if something is a priority, you'll find a way to do it and you'll figure it out. And, there's also the quote that's like, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. So
yes, that's true.
I think it's just staying organized and, just being able to switch gears quickly to go from, one project for one company to handling a customer issue or doing something else with the kids. It's just being able to switch gears.
Pre-COVID, were you visiting the tattoo store, daily, a couple times a week, or how often?
Yeah, I pre-COVID, maybe a couple times a week.
Okay.
There's really no need for me to be there unless I'm dropping off supplies or anything.
Sure.
Every once in a while, I'll fill in at the front desk if we have, somebody's out or staff shortage. And that's always fun. It always kind of rejuvenates me and it's good to see customers and having their reaction walking in, or even just people on the street walking by. So I think it's really good for any business owner to kind of spend some time on the front lines and just kind of see what the ground truth is, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing, me sitting here at the computer and looking at a spreadsheet, but being there, dealing with a customer, dealing with an employee, it's a totally different perspective.
When did you open the tattoo store, the tattoo shop?
So we opened July 30th of last year, so 2018.
2019?
2019, sorry. 2019,
okay.
It's been a long year.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, it's so our first year was it's a little bit of a seasonal business too, which is it's been kind of interesting to learn. The winter time and the cooler months are actually the better time to get a tattoo because you're not out in the sun, you're not in the pool or the beach.
Okay.
But most people tend to think about them in the warmer months. So the summertime tends to be kind of the high season. It's so yeah, last year, I mean, we spent time building up our clientele. And then of course, COVID hit. So that was, kind of threw a wrench in our plans a little bit, but we were able to keep our staff on payroll. We paid everybody their salary while we were closed for 2.5 months. We actually started a donation campaign to the 2 local food banks here, AFAC and Capital Area Food Bank, donating the customers' deposits, online deposits during the time that we were closed to the food bank. So that was a cool way to give back. And then we reopened in June and, had some really strong months for the summer. So it's been really good to see that.
I'm glad to hear that you were only closed down for 2 months or so. I thought it would have been longer.
Yeah, it was 2.5 months.
I mean, I'm sure that was long enough for you.
It was long enough.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure. No, we were able to reopen in phase one. And we actually worked with the city of Alexandria on their, I think it's the ALX health program, to just kind of make sure our standards were, at least what the city required. And we actually went a little bit above the minimum required. Because, I mean, I think the major kind of modification to our shop operations was everybody wearing masks, and just limiting the amount of people in the waiting room. Everybody's already used to working with such strict sanitation standards anyway, that there wasn't so much of an adjustment as you would have in other businesses. Our spaces are semi-private, they have high walls, and the space itself is quite large. So it's been, it was kind of pretty easy to adapt to the new requirements.
How many square feet are you in?
It's about 1,700, I think.
Oh, that's a good size. Okay.
It's an old historic building. There's a huge skylight, which kind of, you can't see it off the street. Yeah.
You can see it in the pictures, so you can see the light coming from a
light coming down.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Very heavenly.
Yeah.
How many stations do you have?
So we have 3. We kind of built out the space we could put in additional stations down the road, if the demand is there, or when the demand is there, I should say.
Sure.
But right now we have 3 stations, and we wanted the space to feel private. I mean, it's almost like a dentist office when you walk in there with, the high walls. But yeah, we didn't want, people laying out in the open, and
of course
everybody being able to see you from King Street. So
once you reopen in stage 1, how was the customer base, or I guess the people flowing back in? Did you see they were a little bit reluctant, or?
I think it was the opposite. I mean, I think even when we were closed, people were emailing us with, just like, when are you guys opening? I need to get my
banging on the door. Open up. Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
Long. You had all this time to think about your next design, and so no, it's been great. I mean, I don't think we've had to. I don't know how we would, but we haven't had to force anyone to come in to get their tattoo.
That's good. So you mentioned that the months have been strong. So overall, well, there's only 1 year, just a little bit over 1 year, and some of that you were shut down to base it off of. But I guess after you open, after COVID state, phase 1, you were pleasantly surprised with the numbers that the store was doing?
Yeah, we were definitely surprised. And we're still trying with, us being pretty new in this spot, in this business, we're trying to figure out how much of that is, either pent up demand from people being at home, or due to kind of the summer high-end, or due to just the shopping around for a year and having been more established, kind of word of mouth, reputation, etc. So we're still trying to get a good handle on the data and the metrics from that.
Sure.
But yeah, it's interesting to see that.
Yeah, it reminds me, I was visiting a client the other day, and it totally different. His more like home services business, and I was in his office, and he has a board with all the monthly numbers. And he says, thanks to COVID, he have had the best month in August ever. And I saw the number, and it was almost double from the previous year.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. He was like, I'm helping him expand to additional space. And I was like, that's fantastic. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that he's doing well. And I know you're in a totally separate and different business, but if the numbers are looking good, that's a good sign.
Yeah. And I think, there's so many businesses right now that are, I think, just trying to adapt and kind of trying to see what sticks and what works and what doesn't. And if there's a better way to do things. I think we've been fortunate so far. We'll see how, the winter months go, but I'm excited about where this is going. And our kind of next step for us is franchising this concept nationwide. So we started offering franchises in February, right before COVID hit. So that was great timing on our end. But if there's kind of a blessing in disguise with the shop being closed for 2.5 months, is that it's kind of let us focus a lot on the franchising side.
Okay.
And we've been having some really good conversations with potential franchisees in Florida, North Carolina, Texas. So there's a lot of interest that we're trying to develop and make this into a bigger brand nationwide.
That's amazing. So is the goal, Maria, is just for you, I guess, let's call it a corporate store, the one in Old Town, right? Mm-hmm. Is it just to have one corporate, or do you plan maybe to open a few more, or just one and then just franchise model then after?
I think that's still TBD. We were originally looking at another location in the Ashburn, Loudoun area. Mm-hmm. We still really like it out there. It's just right now our focus is franchising. And managing this one location, so it's still in the works. It just kind of has taken a lower priority right now.
Yeah. Now this business is totally different than your first business.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what do you like or dislike from each one. I don't want to say what's your favorite one, because they're
Who's your favorite child?
Yeah, that's always asking the question. Which one is your favorite child?
Right. It's, I do like different things about them. I mean, the ink and tattoos is it's such a tangible business, right? And anything customer facing, whether it's a restaurant or, it's real, right? It's not you looking at spreadsheets. It's you putting something on somebody's body that's going to stay with them for a long time, right? Yes. So it's great to be able to kind of deliver that experience to our customers at Ink. It's great to be able to see, like you were saying earlier, somebody comes in with a really meaningful tattoo to them. And I think all of them are meaningful in some way, even the ones that are, you think are really goofy. I mean, we've had customers come in who are, breast cancer survivors, suicide survivors. They want to get a memorial tattoo for somebody. So it's really powerful to be able to kind of deliver that really important piece of art to somebody. Mm-hmm. So I think if I had to pick a favorite child, it would be Inky. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's different, because it sounds like the first one with the government, it's not just, it's more B2B. And Ink, it's, B2C, you're with the consumer. Absolutely. Even though at the end of the day, it's still, even if it's B2B, it's still a relationship with another human.
Absolutely.
But it's a different, I think, feeling, like you just described now.
Yeah.
As far as that relationship with the end consumer when they come in and they get this tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun in many ways. It's a lot more, just being around artistic stuff and artistic people and just kind of watching the creative process happen. It's really inspiring. And I mean, I'm somewhat of an artist myself. I'm nowhere near as good as these guys are, but just being able to see how they think, it's really interesting compared to, how a business person thinks or how an analyst thinks. So
I was going to ask you that next. Have you tried actually tattooing a tattoo?
Me?
Yes, you. No?
No, you don't want me doing that.
Okay.
I might do the little kid peel and stick ones.
Okay. I thought maybe it inspired you to become maybe an artist or part-time.
Maybe
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, that's good though. You opened it last year, and I know the whole story with this business with Ink was you and your husband looking for a place, and then actually deciding, oh, why don't we do this business? Yeah. How soon was that? When did that thought come into mind?
It's kind of hard to put an exact timeline on it, because I think with many businesses, it's, you have a thought one day and then you don't think about it.
Yeah, you don't think. Yeah, exactly.
It comes back to you, right? So we really started the, I would say, kind of the hardcore legwork probably a year before then. So that involved everything from things like building out the financial model, to looking for the real estate, right? Doing the build out once we found the place.
Sure.
So I would say we started the LLC and the company in 2018, probably exactly a year before we opened. Okay. But yeah, so it was definitely a lot of stuff on the back end that we had to work out before we were able to open doors to customers.
I understand the reason why you opened it, but we have so many ideas that come, and then, like you said, then they go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious why you decided to say, like, I think this is it. Like, what made you decide? And my reason is because I've had clients, and I know entrepreneurs. They typically, when they open the second or third or other businesses, there's at least some kind of synergy with the other one.
With the first one.
With the first one, exactly. So I understand why this decided to open this division or this arm, but you were totally different. So what made you actually to decide to move forward with this idea and bring it to fruition?
And so, I mean, I think kind of if you just look at it on the surface, yes, they're totally different. But if you kind of start digging into a little bit more, we're essentially running this like a consulting business, right?
Okay.
So we have our employees that are like our staff would be in a government contracting company, right? And they have a certain number of clients that they have to hit. So there's a lot of similarities when you start looking at it under surface. But it is a very different model. And I don't know, to be honest with you, there's no good answer I can give you why this one and not, one of the 10 other ideas I've had. I just think that in many ways, kind of the time was right, with, like I was saying earlier, how popular tattoos are and how many people see, sites like Pinterest or Instagram for inspiration. And it's no longer this kind of back alley hidden thing. It's now way more in the open and way more accepted. And so I think it was just kind of recognizing a trend and seeing that this could be big nationwide, and we could help make that happen.
I agree. It's I think you flipped the script, Maria. It's very inviting, very totally opposite of what your typical tattoo parlor would look like, which is amazing. I love that part.
A lot of people walk by and, just kind of hearing passersby on the street, they say, oh, are these robot tattoos or these real tattoos? What's happening here? Because they just can't fathom that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like the typical shop.
Yeah, no, that's true. When doing the franchise model, are they all going to look and feel the same way? So if you go to the Florida one or in Texas or in Vegas or wherever it may be, you're going to walk in and it's going to look just like the original corporate one in Old Town, and I'm sure there's going to be changes throughout the years, but we're going to be walking into the same one, the same type of feel.
Yeah, I think that's the idea. I mean, anything with franchising is you want that consistency in experience, right? So when you walk into a McDonald's, you know exactly what you're getting, you know exactly what it's going to look like. And that's part of the, I think the benefit that being affiliated with a franchise brand offers the franchise owner. Because, I mean, I think franchisees are still small businesses, right? I think a lot of times we have the narrative that, oh, go to, your local shop, don't go to the big brand restaurant. But those restaurants and those shops are still owned by small business owners, right? So there's that, I think, misconception that needs to be cleared up. But, they're now affiliated with a bigger brand that has the marketing support, the name recognition, the trademarks and intellectual property, right? And so we want to keep the look as consistent as possible. Like one of the things that we would, for example, personalize is when you walk into the waiting area, there's a photo wall of things that are special to Old Town. Like there's a picture of the trolley, there's a picture of the waterfront. So little touches like that, yes, but the overall look and feel is going to be consistent.
Sure. What would you say, Maria, that drives and motivates you overall?
In life?
yeah, in life. It can be in life, it can be in business, yes, in general.
I like trying new things. I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. I think, I kind of started out my career on this, it could have gone one way with this very sure path as a civil servant, do 30 years and then retire on a comfortable pension. But that's just not what necessarily appealed to me. It was more kind of, life is short. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can experiment with. And you're either right or you learn along the way, right? And that's, that's what it comes down to.
What would you say you're most proud of thus far in your business career? overall with either company, with both?
I think it's just being able to go from, the concept to the actual physical brick and mortar location.
Okay.
I think, it's a lot of people have great ideas, but to be able to execute, I think takes a different kind of skill set. And it's been fun, and I'm not going to say it hasn't been a lot of work. It definitely has been, but it's been fun kind of seeing that from start to execution.
I'm just curious, if you were to give someone advice as far as to go into either of the two businesses you have, I understand now which one's your favorite, so I have a feeling to answer. What would it be?
Wow. Okay. Oof. I would say there's something new that I learned every day, every week at the very least. I would say it's to be easy on yourself, to not take things so personally. I mean, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, and just, have tough skin.
Yeah.
And, just everybody's doing the best we can. So go easy.
Are there any habits or skills that you think throughout your career that have influenced you in a good, positive way?
I like writing things down. I make checklists. I have a paper calendar. I have about 4, email calendars, but I still come back to my paper one. Write it down, cross it off. And I don't know, there's just so much about like being able to put that check mark.
So you're very organized?
I think I am. Yeah,
okay.
I think I am. That's one of my.
If I asked your husband, would he feel the same way?
I think he would.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, so now we're entering the what we call the fast round. So basically, I ask you a simple question, and you give me the first thought that comes to mind.
Oh wow! Okay.
You ready?
Is this PG?
It is. Yes, this is a kid-friendly show. Well, with your second business, I'm kidding. What would you say is your biggest challenge right now with Ink Tattoo?
I think toughening up, being able to take a negative comment from a customer well and not have it ruin my whole day, because I'm such a people pleaser, so I always want to deliver good news, and I take it really personally when someone's like, no, I want to cancel my appointment or whatever. So
that's hard. It reminds me one of my clients, he was one of the interviews I did, and his wife had to get him off of Yelp. He was like, you don't understand. He would be at midnight on his phone because of the reviews in Yelp, and you don't know how it would affect him. He was addicted to Yelp just because of that, because of his business.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it was probably much easier to do business, 30 years ago when you didn't have any of this.
Yeah. So now he doesn't see Yelp anymore. So I think it's helped him and his marriage. What do you wish that now you would have known back then?
Ooh, okay. I think there's always like the moving goalposts of now and back then, right? I think just have more confidence going in. I think you can always figure things out. You can always reach out for help from an expert if you need to. But you're capable of figuring out more than you think you are. Okay.
So there's definitely more potential within you then. Yeah. I know. I agree. When I say the word success, Maria, who is the first person you think of?
Oh, Beyonce? I don't know.
Okay.
That's the first thing. I think I just read something before our interview.
Do you, and some people is different. Who would you say who's your biggest mentor, and what have you learned from that person?
Wow, I've had so many mentors really? At all different stages of my career. So I think I'm really lucky to say that. I think one of my most memorable mentors was when I was with the Department of Defense. It was an Army warrant officer, Chief Chrisman. And he's still around. He's not dead or anything. He is just incredibly hardworking, and just also combines this kind of tough persona with the ability to look out for everyone. He was absolutely the guy that you could come with and say, hey, I'm having this problem. Can you help me out? And he would 100% have your back. And I think the biggest thing he taught me was look out for your people and how important that is, and be approachable in that sense, even if, on the outside, you're a total kind of tough guy. And
yeah, that's good. That's good. And what does the next 5 year looks like? What's the vision the next 5 years?
I think we really want to focus on franchising and growing the concept with Inc. And that's that in itself is, a third business, because it's not running the operations daily in the shop. It's being focused more on the B2B side. So anything from, it's a lot of sales, it's a lot of marketing. It's once you have a sale, it's a lot of being able to support the franchisee logistically, and help them get set up and be successful. So that's going to be our main focus.
But that third business, Maria, it's very special and potent. I know what franchise can do to someone. It's like a rocket ship. Seriously, I've seen it. If done right, it's amazing what it can do to you and to your company.
And we're learning about it as well. Like I said, we're new to franchising. So I think a lot of time this past year we've spent on getting to know the kind of big players in that space, all the industry associations, all the expos and the shows to go to and all that. So it's been a lot of learning with that.
Where are you in that process? Do you think you may be ready for the first franchise location in the next?
Yeah, absolutely. All the kind of groundwork has been done with that. All the legal paperwork is in place. Right now it's just focusing on marketing and having those conversations with the potential franchisees, because there's a lot of vetting going on both ends. I mean, if you're buying a franchise, you are likely quitting your job. You're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into this, and it's a big time decision for you. And also from the franchisor perspective, you want to make sure that you are locked into a relationship for 10 years, possibly more, with somebody who's able to protect your brand, and carry out the system and just follow, the path that you've set out for them. So it's a lot of commitment on both ends.
Do you see it in maybe the next 12 months or I don't know, maybe sooner or maybe longer than that, actually having your first franchise location somewhere?
Yeah, definitely. If not the actual location open, then the franchisee signed, because it will take about 6 to 12 months, I think, at least, from the time the franchise agreement is signed to the time the location is open.
Sure.
But definitely within the next, and I understand, COVID is impacting people's kind of ability to make a decision long term right now.
Sure.
But yeah, we're very close in some of those conversations.
That's good. I didn't know you were that close to starting that. In your niche for franchise, is there anything like this?
Not really in the United States. There's, I think there's a couple companies in Canada, maybe. Maybe one in India. There's nothing that I'm familiar with in the States that's kind of has this model. So, and that's actually kind of part of the challenge, is because we are, we're a new category essentially, right? So I think when most people think of, if you pick up a franchising guide, there's beauty services, there's, hair drying bars and things like that, but there's nothing in the tattoo section. So there's a tattoo section. So that's part of what we're creating.
Okay. And lastly, I'm sure you don't have a lot of free time, but the free time you do have, what do you like to do?
What's free time? No, I like running. When I can get out there. Now with this cooler weather, it's getting a little bit easier to do. I've done 2 marathons.
That's awesome.
Get some more under my belt. But yeah, lately it's just been a few blocks around my neighborhood, so I can manage. So.
Okay, so some running then, working out.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And where can people find you if they want to, get some more information about you and your businesses? Where can they reach out?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is the best place. Always on there. You can look up the company email on Inc. as well.
Okay. And also for Inc., is it what's the website?
So it's inktattoos.com, and ink is spelled INQ. And tattoos is one of the most misspelled words in English language. So TATTOOS.
Okay.
Inktattoos.com.
And if someone listening who may be interested in possibly, they love the idea and what you're doing, and maybe they're considering the franchisee model, is there a website up, or how, just reach out to you? How can they find out more information on that too?
So absolutely. On our website, there's a company tab. There's a franchising section in there.
Okay.
Basically, the process is you read through the information, fill out. It has a company tab, franchising, and they can review all the information on there. They can submit an inquiry form, and then we send more detail and take it from there.
Okay. Is there any requirements as far as, what they would need for that? If they need any more information, just reach out to you, or is that all on the website as far as?
Everything's on the website. There's a FAQ section, but yeah, there's definitely financial requirements and kind of experience requirements, but it's all kind of spelled out on there, and we're always happy to talk more details if anybody's interested.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Maria, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. I really enjoyed talking to you, and
yeah.
Same. Whatever I can, hopefully we'll see you for your first tattoo.
Yeah, maybe I'll bring my wife along.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.